Well, hello folks. Here we are again, downtown Kalamazoo. We're heading eastbound. We're going to go down here onto the Burdick Mall. It used to be a one time super bustling old school building. Some are still there. You've seen it before. It's now a driving mall. It used to be a pedestrian mall. Before that, a driving mall with street cars and so forth, and all that entails. And I'm going to take a little trip straight south on Burdick to the old Christian Reformed Church and show you some then and nows at their 100th anniversary, their centennial, when they'd taken the time capsule out of the front of the building that was behind a special block, and they read what was in it, left 100 years before, and then they filled it with things. I know a couple of things that were put in there. My father was there when this took place. I was not. I was at home, just a couple of blocks away. We'll take a look at this, and I have then and now photos. Again, the sky is obscured over Kalamazoo from the steam plumes of graphic packaging blowing from the north. We have northerly winds today. All right, be up ahead here in just a couple of shakes. Past old courthouse here on the right, soon to be redeveloped into a hotel and restaurants. And we will hit the driving mall right up here. And we have an arrow. And there's no bike traffic, except that one guy with balloon tires. Now, during Halloween, they generally have dressed this all up with all kinds of skeletons and things in front of all the establishments. And this year, there's nothing. They used to have the big zombies and everything. I have some pictures of that from years gone by, especially the big old skeleton that stood right here in front of the bank building right there. Those are some pretty special pictures. All right, and here we go. And again, the ever-present leaf blower. I love making fun of that. There they go. Good job. Looks good down here. The newly acquired State Theater. Yeah, they're doing some work. The old Kalamazoo Gazette. And south on Burdick we go. Would have been cool to be here in the days the streetcars were running up and down here. Horse-drawn. Horse-drawn, I will include pictures. Years ago when they tore these streets up and to redo some we'll call it plumbing, they exposed those streetcar tracks, and I believe they were raised. Don't quote me on that, but there were pictures of them, I believe, doing that. Also, streetcar tracks on Westnedge Hill, and those were exposed just 2 years ago, and they did remove those as well. I was allowed to take one of the bricks. One of the workers said, yeah, they were just hauling those bricks away. Used to be a brick street back then, and that was pretty cool. I have one in my collection. All right, we'll be up here in a second. I think you may know where you're at now in my prior videos. The steps to nowhere. The old gun shop there in the corner. A couple of the old mansions left here along Burdick. This is the corner I used to hide in the bushes with my buddies right there and say things to people as they drove by. Here's Langland Funeral Home. The Tremblay Building. Of course, Bosma from 1909. There's quite the apartment building right there in the day. And of course, there is right here on the corner too. We've seen these before. Right over here is the church. I'll be right back. I gotta find a place to park. Okay, back in the day, these doors right here were full size and big, heavy wood doors, big, heavy handles on them. This right here was actually a stone wall with grass behind it and so forth. This was not here. There, you'll see in the inserts I'll put then and now. Okay, one of the entrances over here, the bell tower. Right inside, straight ahead, up the stairs, was a box on the wall going up to the ceiling, and that's where gentlemen would ring the bell on Sunday mornings. We'd come up the steps here and see him in there pulling the big rope, going up to the church bell. Along these little areas right here is where all the Dutch Jakes, they call them, the old Dutch gentlemen, would lay their cigars and go into church. They'd come out, and they knew right where they put their cigars. It was something else. This entrance was mostly used by the older gentlemen, the elders, the deacons, and so forth. Very few children and women would go through this entrance. They go through the one over here on this side, but then inside, the families, I guess, as you would call it, if I would meet back up and you'd sit with your families. Then I remember when that was kind of done away, the older Jakes and everybody would go in kind of first, and then families and stuff would be filtering in. As you would normally see, this is the parsonage, where the pastor and his wife and family would stay. This church right here goes back to 1869. Okay, all by the Dutch. I was baptized in here as an infant, the sprinkling of water. It was Reverend Rancius that baptized me. Shortly thereafter, he left this church for another calling in another Christian Reformed church, and Reverend DeGroat took over. And right here you'll see Reverend DeGroat and a couple of the elders opening the box that was removed right up here from the plate. This covers up a vault behind there that contains, or did contain at the time, the time capsule. First Christian Reformed Church, 1869 to 1912. Reverend S. It's Eldersveld. Reverend Eldersveld was there. They opened this up in 1969. My father was here at the opening in the group that would have been standing all out here on the sidewalk to witness the opening, and then the reading and looking at the contents, and then other contents added to the box before it was reset. Now, my father told me that they put a modern Psalter hymnal in the box. They put a list of the congregation at the time, making sure that it was completely up to date. And there were some other papers and records that were put in there as well. And then, personal letters or notes from the pastor and whatnot. Beautiful stained glass windows. Okay. And take a little look here. Now, back in the day, gentlemen, especially Dutch gentlemen, they loved their cigars. And it's one thing that was always around is you'd see an old Dutch gentleman with a cigar. And as I remember, all the way up until rather recently, when there's graduation ceremonies at Christian high school, a lot of the Dutch community go to school there. It was started by the Dutch. They have a little group that gathers out in the parking lot, and the kids fire up a cigar and salute to the old Dutch Jakes. There you go. Then and now, the time capsule. Now, the First United Baptist Church. But back in the day, 1969, 1869, and today, I don't have any from 1869. I'm sorry. All right. We will see you all in the next one. Just down the street, south on Burdick, about 5 blocks to my grandparents' old home on the corner. We're going to do some then and nows there. And of course, this whole area was all Dutch back in the day. The celery fields right down there at the bottom of the hill. The Dutch funeral home straight ahead, right there, Joldersman Klein. Here you go. Guten Morgen. Und wie geht's? That's German. It's as close to Hollander I can speak. Entschuldigen Sie bitte.